Welcome to Threads of Sustainability, where you get to hear the passionate, informative, and engaging conversations of creatives, makers, manufacturers, and producers from all over the globe. We explore what sustainability can look like in the quilting, fiber, and textile world, and I'm your host, Bridget O'Flaherty, also known as the Sustainable Quilter. Welcome back to another episode of Threads of Sustainability. I'm glad you're here with me again. This week, we are talking about upcycling and doing t-shirt quilts, which is a very popular trend right now, which is pretty exciting in many, many ways. The guest that I got on today, though, comes at it from the idea of changing and making a difference in terms of textile waste. And I don't know if you guys are aware of the amount of textile waste that is produced every year and what happens with textile waste, but generally it goes into the landfill. It is not upcycled and recycled a lot, and oftentimes it is shipped over to countries in the guise of being aid, but it still ends up in landfill, and they are overloaded in these countries with these aid materials and textiles that are sent over there, and it's really more like a dumping ground. So I think it's pretty exciting that my next guest has taken on a mission to try and keep t-shirts, at least, out of the waste and out of the landfills, which, it's a very admirable endeavor that she's taking on, and is getting to make these beautiful blankets out of it as well, and enjoys really connecting with her clients. So I hope you enjoy this. I will talk to you again at the end. Welcome to Threads of Sustainability. I am delighted to have Gemma Smith here with me from Re-Vive the Tee. And today we are going to be talking about upcycling and reusing and making memory quilts. And I found you because I was specifically looking for somebody who's doing this kind of work, because I think that it's a really interesting way of, first of all, keeping clothing out of the waste stream, and second of all, making these memory pieces. But what really excited me about what you're doing is you're actually keeping track of the amount of waste that you are keeping out of
landfills.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about why do you want to keep track of what's going in the landfills? Why is that important to you?
It kind of goes back to when we first moved to Canada from the UK. In the UK, you don't get the opportunity to actually go to a landfill. You kind of just go to these areas where these big bins, you just throw stuff in there and drive away. And then there's other people that come and take them from there and put them in landfill. Whereas here in Calgary, it's completely different. You actually drive into the landfill itself. So you kind of get to see firsthand what it's like. So we were doing a bunch of renos on the house, had a bunch of like drywall and stuff that we needed to take to the dump. So we went and drove up there, and I think my mouth just dropped open. I just could not believe that place. Like, it made me feel sick to the stomach. Like, there was literally, like, I could see clothing items, I could see couches and mattresses, and there was just this massive, great big truck that was just crushing it and then burying it, and hundreds of seagulls as well. And I just thought it actually made me stop and think, do you know what? I need to do something about, even if it's something small, I need to do something about this, because I don't want to have to visit this place ever again. So that was kind of even like down to things like when I had my last child, like that experience made me do and use reusable diapers and cloth wipes, things like that, because I just couldn't stand the thought of contributing to that landfill.
Diapers are like 50 years to get rid of a diaper. Yeah.
Which is really, really crazy. And I'd already had like a sewing business, and obviously it just kind of made sense to kind of, do the memory t-shirt blankets that I do now, really. So I could have, do it on a bigger scale than what I was doing in my other quilting business. So and I knew I could make a bigger impact because I'd be able to kind of get through more than what I was with my kind of bespoke style quilts.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the difference between those two things. You've mentioned the t-shirt blankets and then your bespoke quilts. So tell me a little bit about those two things and kind of how those came about.
Yeah, so the bespoke quilts were kind of my original idea, which I started back in 2011, just after my middle son was born. And they were mainly created from baby clothing.
Okay.
So I was kind of, customers send me their clothing. I kind of cut all the motifs out. I'm one of these people that I don't follow a design. I kind of let the clothing do the talking. Okay. So I'll cut out all of the designs, then I'll lay them on the floor. Then I kind of figure out, the pieces to go in, but I kind of do it as I go, if you know what I mean, rather than actually creating it all. And then we kind of add borders to them, backing, kind of top stitch them, do all of those kind of things. So my bespoke quilts they take me longer to create. They do cost a little bit more, quite a bit more than the t-shirt blankets. Right. But after kind of doing that for 5, 6, 7 years, I then started getting inquiries about something that was a little bit more affordable, because not everyone wants to kind of part with $1,000 for a quilt. Sure, they just want to spend a couple of $100. Yeah. Something they can just, throw on themselves on the couch or whatever. Yeah. So we kind of started thinking, well, what else can we do that, we can save on time? We can, keep more things out of landfill by upcycling, something that's affordable. Yeah. And then we came up with the process of creating these t-shirt blankets where they're just serged together. We back them with a fleece, turn them right side out and top stitch them. So they're really simple. Yeah. And actually, do you know what? Since doing that, the feedback that we've gotten from people is that actually it's kind of more like, not everyone wants a fancy quilt, Yeah. Some people, like, I'm a blanket girl myself. People just, especially like the younger generation, they want blankets. They don't want a fancy pieced together quilt. Yeah. So they've been like a massive hit. So I still run both my Gemma stitches and Re-Vive the Tee. We are actually going to combine them soon. Okay. But yeah, that's the difference. One's a quilt and one is a blanket.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have, that was it. I've literally, there's nothing that I cannot upcycle. I have literally used a pair of shoes in a quilt before.
Oh my God.
Like, it's crazy. Some of this
I have. About that. Like, why were you even asked to do shoes in a quilt?
It was a pair of baby shoes. So yeah, I just kind of cut the soles off and then appliqued it onto the quilt, which was really cool.
Oh, that's awesome. I love the idea of the little shoes, because they're such a little, like, we all keep our kids' baby shoes. Yeah, they're adorable.
They are.
And for some people, it's really, really, there's really deep memories there for people who maybe have lost a child as well.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I
actually once made, this lady, unfortunately, had lost her baby. He was a couple of weeks old and he didn't get to wear a lot of his outfits. And so she gave them to me, and I actually turned them into a cover to go over his urn, and we embroidered on it, and it said, these clothes is something along the lines of, never got a chance to wear them, but I'm wearing them now, kind of thing. And it's really sweet.
Very touching. Yeah. And a deep connection to the textiles and tactile of clothing and of materials, right? And there seems to be a really there's really a deep connection for people in a lot of ways, I think, about the historical context of textiles and quilts and I don't know. It brings memories for a lot of people. I think it really stirs memories.
It does. I recently at Christmas time, a lady came to me and she said, I've got this quilt that my husband's grandma made him made the family years and years ago, but it's in really bad condition. Do you think you can do anything with it? And when she showed me, like, I am not kidding you, it was threadbare. There was barely anything left of it. Yeah. And I was like, well, I can kind of see what I can get out of it. And maybe we can add like a complementary color in with there or something. Anyway, I completely it's on my Facebook page, but I completely transformed it and managed to make a twin quilt out of it. And it looked so cool. And I think her husband absolutely loved it. It was really good because even the parts which were threadbare, when I sewed them back into squares, it almost looked like, they were like sandy coloured brown and greys. It almost looked like a load of trees. It looked like a piece of art by the time it was finished. Yeah. And then I kind of rebacked it. I rebound it and stuff. Yeah. So that kind of meant a lot. Again, like, that would have gone to landfill. Because it was not usable. But we managed to kind of salvage 99% of it and remake it into something else.
And it keeps that legacy of the grandmother who had made the quilt in the first place, right?
In the first place. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. There's been some interesting stuff. This is a side. I've seen some interesting stuff on social media now where people are going out to reuse centers and they're buying old quilts that are in good condition and cutting them up and
Yeah.
making clothing out of
Oh,
those.
wow.
And I don't know
Yeah,
how I
that's
feel about
cool.
that. I think it's almost like art appropriation, in some ways. It's like,
Yeah.
really? I don't know how I feel about you taking something that was perfectly good and actually
Yeah.
lovely and making it
Yeah.
into a piece of clothing that's actually now going to become landfill because it's got style that's specific and
That's the
can't be
point.
used for
Yeah.
anything else, right?
No, that's the
I
point.
don't know how I
Yeah.
feel about it.
No.
I don't like that. But what you're doing is great. Yeah. Yeah. What you've done is great. That idea of repurposing and making it back
Oh,
into what
good.
it was intended. That's, I think, a really important effort, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Um, and your backing materials. Tell me a little bit about what you do for your backing materials.
So with my bespoke quilts, I use Minky because I just don't think that you can beat the softness of Minky. Like, it's a
Sure.
dimple dot Minky, and it comes in so many different colors. It's just a really nice fabric to kind of work with, and it just gives the whole thing. It feels very heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the t-shirt blankets, I use like a velour fleece. It's a 16-ounce velour fleece, so it's really thick. It actually is similar to stuff that like companies such as North Face use inside their jackets. So it's really, really warm. Actually, that's the number one thing that response we've had from people is just how warm the blankets are.
Nice.
But also just super durable too. The amount of times that, even my own blankets, the amount of times they've been washed, it's unreal. And they're still just as nice as the day I created them in the first place. So yeah.
Well, and that's good because that then prevents things from becoming threadbare and becoming landfill because they're worn out and not hold up to the test of time. Yeah.
No, that's it. And honestly, if a customer comes, like I have in the past had someone say, do you know what, I've got this big blanket and I absolutely love it, don't want to get rid of it, but do you think you could use that as a backing fabric? Like, that's always been options too. And I've used like crib sheets and all sorts before to, I try to use as much upcycled fabric first before using kind of new stuff.
Are you trying to get offcuts from the manufacturers? Are you trying to get things that would have been offcasts and that kind of stuff? Have you looked into that?
Do you know, it was really difficult to source decent fabric. It took us a long time to actually, I think when we first came out with the idea, that was the first thing we looked for, was to find the backing fabrics, because ideally I wanted something that was like 100% recycled.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find any. I think there's definitely a lack of those types of materials in Canada.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's one of the challenges that I've had as an artist as well, is finding supplies and materials that can actually allow you to do sustainable projects. And and I was talking with somebody just last night. They were asking their local municipality in Vancouver about where you can upcycle textiles. So not just necessarily a reuse center where you can buy, but the waste stuff that we all have little bits from doing our projects, right? Yeah. Where can that go? And there doesn't seem to be a universal way of disposing of textiles.
No.
Certainly not in Canada.
No, the CBC brought out, they had an article that came out the day saying like textile waste is the number one growing waste stream in Canada. Yeah. And it was saying about like they're not really doing much about it. And actually, in fact, I did contact them myself. It was the city of Vancouver, but unfortunately I didn't have a response from them. I will follow up again, but like I'm like, they're saying, hey, I can help a bit with this. Like, there's something I can do to help you. Yeah. So, I recently had a large company that were based out in Vancouver contact me to find out if we were able to upcycle a bunch of their old staff uniforms into reusable shopping bags, which is quite cool.
That's very
So there's definitely things that can be done. In fact, my last blog post was like 6 ways of upcycling your t-shirts. Like, I even found an awesome cat tent that you can make out of your old t-shirts.
Cat tent?
A cat tent and t-shirt yarn. I've never heard of that, and I am going to give it a go because I thought that would be really cool as well. If we use any spare bits that we get from, cutting out our squares, if I could then every time I get one, cut them into threads, attach them, and then, start creating these balls of yarn almost. And you can make such cool stuff with that. Like I've seen baskets, I've seen rugs on the floor, which look, I'm sure there was a rug in the Pottery Barn that looked exactly like that, but it was a couple of $100s. I'm like, I'm sure I can,
I'm sure I can do this.
My upcycled t-shirts, perhaps.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's awesome. I love those ideas. That's the idea of how much per person right now. I think we were talking about it, and it's 81 pounds of textile waste per person is thrown out.
Yeah, that equates to about 44 t-shirts per person. That's a lot of t-shirts.
That's a lot of t-shirts. That's what's getting thrown into landfills every year per person. What is our population in Canada now? Is 38 million. And if everybody's throwing out 44 t-shirts a year, that is a lot of textile waste. And it's just going into landfills, and it doesn't necessarily break down because not every t-shirt is cotton. Not every piece of art, not every article of clothing is cotton. And, the reuse centers are great. They're a really great option for people, but not everybody utilizes those.
No.
And they don't always benefit everybody across the board as well. And a lot of people don't actually take their stuff there in the first place. It just goes into landfill.
No. And also, I mean, with us too, like you wouldn't donate stuff that has a hole in it, for example, but whereas we can repair small holes and things like that.
Right.
So the stuff that would be going. Yeah, exactly. Like that's still totally usable in a blanket or in a quilt. It's, it doesn't have to end up in landfills. And I know you were saying about like if it's not 100% cotton, but still those, like I was reading yesterday that a lot of those, even the biodegradable clothing, they still have like polyester threads, or they have like plastic zippers. And it's those kind of things that, take longer to decompose. And also, even when the cotton is decomposing, it's still releasing gases and it's still contributing towards global warming. So,
well, and depends also on how it was dyed and what kind of dyes are in it. If they're not natural dyes, then you're going to be dealing with the toxins out of that and the microfibers that are coming out of all of that stuff as well.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
I was the other day, I got sent, and I don't know whether it was an April Fool's or not, but there was someone, a celebrity that was endorsing it too, and it was single-use jeans. Single-use jeans, I know. And I was just like, this is the worst idea for a product ever.
Are they edible? Like, what do you mean single-use jeans?
I know. I didn't quite understand it, but single-use jeans, and whether it meant that they were like super cheap, that you could just buy a new pair every day, I don't know. But I was just thinking, this is just the worst idea ever.
What is that? I don't know what that is.
I know. I can't remember which celebrity it was, but there was someone, just like, no, please don't say this is a thing.
But it's also efforts like this, like the small, I think the small individual efforts are actually starting to make a difference and helping to spread awareness. And I was talking with somebody the other day, and we're talking about grassroots projects that start really small, but with really specific intention. And that's where you've started, right? Like you have a very specific intention. You want to keep t-shirts out of landfill. So you are doing your small part. And tell me about how your business has grown. Like you started just a few years ago doing this. So how well has it grown?
Yeah. So Gemma Stitches, my bespoke quilts I've been doing since for 11 years now. Okay. So I did that in England, and then when I moved to Canada, I did it here as well. I also make like stuffed animals from clothing too, as well, from baby and adult clothing. There's another obviously way to upcycle, like lions and bears, those kind of things.
And what do you use for the stuffing on those?
I try to use some of the clothing to go into that. As stuffing, and then the rest I do just use like the normal stuffing that I pick up from the store. So at that point in time, it wasn't like I started that way before I even drove into a landfill. So again, that is something like I would definitely look to find some more ways of upcycling them in a more sustainable way, like you say. So
more conscious. But,
t-shirt blankets, I started in 2020, just at the start of the pandemic. Probably wasn't the best time to start something, but at the same time, a lot of people were trying to like clear their closets, like having so much time at home and time on their hands. I did find a lot of people were starting to, clear out the closets, finding all of these shirts. So it was not a great time, but it was at the same time. And that was 2020, in April 2020. And we were like, to start with, it was kind of slow, like we'd never built a website before. We'd never, like, I'd used social media before, but it was different. Like when I first set up my Facebook page, you could just post anywhere and everyone would see it. But it's changed so much.
Oh my God, it has changed so much. Yeah.
It is. You can't just post anywhere anymore because the Facebook police come out and tell you off, and then you can't go. And it's really difficult. Like,
or you just get buried.
Page, or your own page, like you post and only, a tenth of the people that like your page are actually seeing the posts. So we'd never actually built a website before, but we used Shopify. It was fantastic. We managed to get this okay looking website up. And then we've just kind of learned as we went along to kind of make improvements. Once we got questions from people, we were then able to use those to then improve our website.
Yeah.
But we started off with kind of like, I think the first month we may have got like one or two orders. And then it kind of continued like that right the way up to kind of November, December time. And then from January last year, it just kind of exploded. And, we're now, I think we're up to almost 400 quilts now, blankets, 400 blankets, which is crazy because you think the average amount, most popular size is around 30 t-shirts. Wow. So, if you multiply that by 400, that is a lot of t-shirts that we're keeping out of landfill. Exactly. And we just kind of continue to grow. We've tried to get the word out there as much as we possibly can by, we've gotten in touch with people like running clubs for the for all of their shirts, with universities as well. We've gotten in touch with them about upcycling like academic shirts, those kind of things, from because it's actually a really cool graduation gift. The blankets.
Yeah.
So
so do you know what your number is of how many pounds of t-shirts you've kept, or how much you've kept out of landfill?
I think we're up to just over 10,000. I don't look at the figures all of the time.
10,000
but I can,
pounds?
Normally once 10,000 t-shirts. 10, I'd have to weigh one. Actually, I need to weigh one t-shirt and see how much that weighs.
Yeah.
That would be a really cool thing to do. In fact, I'm going to do that. Yeah. And then, to find out like the actual weight would be awesome. Definitely.
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
Yeah. So, but let's say it's average about 30 t-shirts per quilt, and we've done just over 400 now. So we're hoping to obviously continue that number, and keep rising. So
keep rolling with that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So tell me a little bit more about the bespoke quilts. We talked about them a little bit already, but who would be asking you to do those kinds of bespoke quilts? Tell me some of the stories of people that you've worked with.
Yeah, I mean, one of them was what I mentioned earlier on with the grandma's quilt, which I kind of remade into a new quilt. I've created ones before from people that have lost loved ones, and I've created them out of their kind of dress shirts, using like the pockets and the buttons and all of those kind of cuffs, that kind of thing, just to make it look interesting. Typically, mainly the bespoke ones are from baby clothing, purely because they're so random in sizes, so it kind of suits them a little bit better. And I'm able to if they've got a little hat, then I can applique the hat on. It's just a little bit more flexibility with those ones too.
Do you have a favorite? I'm
just trying to think of because every time I make one, I think, well, that was better than the last one. Every time I make one, I guess it's just because you learn, constantly kind of learning. I made one once entirely out of socks. This lady had, she had learned, she had collected them all through university, but each of them had like little logos on the side, and I made this massive quilt entirely from socks.
It was
awesome. Really cool, actually.
That's very cool.
It was really cool. Yeah. But I mean, there's been a lot of the blankets, for example. I had a guy, sadly, he's disabled now. He's actually in a wheelchair. But he was, for the most part of his life, he was a member of, I think it was skydiving team.
Okay.
And so he had all of these t-shirts that he'd collected, every dive that he'd done. But I think sadly the last one ended poorly, and hence why he was now in a wheelchair. So the blanket that I'd made him was just, comfort to, and memories of, well, this is what I've achieved. Yeah, it hasn't ended as the way I thought it would, but he just loved the fact that he could see all of his achievements in one place. It just meant a little bit more to him.
Nice. Yeah, that's nice.
Which is cool. Yeah. And there's lots of I had one recently which I made. It was a bespoke quilt I'd made. The mum had ordered it, and I didn't know that she was poorly, and I contacted the daughter and I said, "Oh, hey, your quilt's finished. I'm ready to send it back." And she said to me, "Oh, I'm not sure if you tried to get a hold of mum, but she passed away last week." I didn't have any idea, but one of her last things that she wanted to do was to get this quilt made for her daughter. So it was really nice that I was kind of able to do that for them.
Yeah. What a good memory piece for her to get after the fact.
It's funny, this lady, she only lives up the road. I don't know how she managed to find my information, but she's elderly. She has a Down syndrome child. Oh, nice. And she wanted this blanket made from his shirts, but so that's what we've been working on today. But the shirts, the motifs were so big. What I've ended up doing is making him two. And one of the ones for his bed, and the other one, apparently wherever he goes in the car, he has a blanket. And so I've made him a smaller one for his car journeys and stuff. So not only is it filled with memories, like he's then got something a little bit extra. So I think they're excited. I know, and it feels good to, like, obviously I've not charged them. I just wanted to do something nice for him because he was so attached to all these shirts. Yeah. And if I put them in one blanket, it would have been like 8 feet by 8 feet. It would have been huge. Yeah, a bit too big. So now he's got two.
That's so good. It's generous.
Yeah. I forgot to say, you inspired me yesterday because I saw you opening up your box full of recycled Guttmann threads, because that's what I use on my industrial machines and stuff. I've always used Guttmann threads. I don't use anything else because I just don't like the way other stuff sews. But I had no idea that they did 100% recyclable. Yeah. So I'm going to look into that as well. I don't know whether you'd be able to get it for industrial, though.
Unfortunately, they're only 100-meter spools.
Oh, really? They don't do? Yeah, because the ones I normally buy, hang on a second,
HA Kid doesn't have the surging spools.
Yeah, these are
the 520.
Are they that big?
No, they're teeny. No, that's like 500, right?
Oh, it is. Yeah, 570. Yeah, they're the really little ones.
Yeah, this is.
See, I'd go through that in a day or two.
Yeah, you'd be through it. Metler has 200-meter spools, so it's a little more, but they're really fine. Like, it's super thin. I don't think you would like the thread.
Yeah. No, I do. I just love the way that
I like how Guttmann sews too, and so I think you should call HA Kid and tell them that they need to get in the industrial spools, and so that we can start having larger options. So because they do have the RPET in that size, they just don't bring it into Canada. So
which is weird. But like I say, it's the same problem with the materials. Like, there's a company in the States that does
you and I both start bugging them for it, maybe we'll get
it. No, there's a company in the States that does something similar to what I do, and their backing fabrics they use are made from plastic water bottles. But I looked everywhere here for something like that because that's what I wanted, but I could not find it. Yeah. Could not find it. Yeah.
Yeah, Canada has got to step it up.
Yeah, I agree.
So tell me how people can get in touch with you. You told me you're on Facebook. How else can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so we've got our website, which is revivethetee.ca. We've got like a bunch of different places on there that there's contact us buttons. There's like a live chat that comes up. You can chat directly with me. Yeah. But we are also on Instagram, Facebook. Okay. Newest thing that I've been trying out was Pinterest as well, because I feel like it's actually been really good, and I've actually found some really cool stuff myself. Like, especially my latest blog post I said was like how 6 ways to upcycle shirts, and I found all of the ideas on Pinterest, which was amazing.
I think that Pinterest is a dark rabbit hole that I can't go down. I can't go down. It's too much.
I know. I started off like looking at t-shirts. I did end off looking at camping storage hacks. So it did kind of get a bit sidelined there.
Yeah. I bet it's a great spot for ideas. Really great spot for ideas. Yeah,
exactly. And also to be honest, most social media platforms, TikTok as well, is another one that I've been creating videos for, to try and appeal to kind of, the younger generation.
Yeah.
Sounds old, but
if somebody does, they want to get a t-shirt quilt made or a t-shirt blanket made. We're making that distinction between quilt and blanket, because your t-shirts are just 2 layers, right? They're not the 3 layers.
That's correct.
And they're not really quilted.
They're not quilted. We top stitch just around the edges. Yeah.
Okay. And so if somebody's wanting to get in touch with you to do that, how do they get their t-shirts to you? How do you work with that?
So we have like a welcome pack that we send to our customers once they've placed their order, and it has our PO box on there. So they would just mail it to us, and then obviously we typically turn the blankets around in about 2 to 3 weeks, and then we send them back via Canada Post to them. We actually cover the cost of the return shipping, so the customer's only responsible for getting it to us. And if there's any kind of local Calgary customers, we definitely encourage them just to drop it off at our studio. But right now, 90% of my customers are over in Ontario.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It is.
The whole world of marketing is a bit mysterious to me, really.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I think that what you're doing is an important part. It's an important piece of the sustainability puzzle. Sustainability is very complex, and there's no one right path to how we create a sustainable future. There's so many different parts to it, and I think that being able to have these legacy stories as well as having an environmental piece to it is a really important contribution to how sustainable futures are going to happen for us. So I think you're doing good stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, and my hope and wish, and I am determined, we'll get there, is that we can kind of upscale this to the next level, and be able to bring some other staff. I mean, I have 1 member of staff at the moment, but I'd like to bring on some more people, make more quilts, and teach more people how to do this and how to help out with the problem as well. So
that's good. I hope it happens for you soon.
Yeah, me too.
So thanks for being here today. This has been really, really lovely chatting with you. So here's the thing about the textile waste and expectations around policies. And, we put a lot on governments and on corporations to try and figure out how to solve our waste issues and I don't know. I'm struggling a little bit with it, because a lot of it really comes down to consumption issues in the beginning. So part of it is really on the individual to try and figure out how to maybe consume less. But we are also really told always to consume more by marketing and advertising. So it's a bit of a tricky spot to be in. But I really think that the individuals who are trying to make a difference and trying to change the way that we approach waste and approach how we are disposing of our regular everyday consumption that we have. I think, kudos to them. I think that that's a pretty amazing and spectacular thing that they're doing. And I think that as individuals, we can maybe try and find ways to do that kind of stuff in our own lives. And I don't think it's up to the individual to fix everything, but maybe just, working in our own little spheres. That's a good thing. I'm in for that. I think that's a good thing. Anyway, just some thoughts for the day. I hope you have a great day. I hope you've enjoyed the show. And if you are liking the show, please remember to like and follow and share. You can also support the podcast. On my website, there is a buy me a cuppa, because I don't drink coffee, so I'd love a cup of tea. And it really helps me out so I can continue creating interesting content for you and continue to do all of the work that it takes to put out this podcast. I hope you have a great week, and I will talk with you the next time. If you're interested in a community that engages with sustainability in quilting and textiles, you can join the Learning Hub at BridgetO'Flaherty.com. There you will find memberships, online courses, supplies, and resources for sustainability and my textile art. You can also book me to speak with or teach your group. You can find me on social media at The Sustainable Quilter. Don't forget to comment, like, and share, and to follow me on your favorite podcast app so you won't miss an episode. Thanks for joining me, and I'm so excited to share this journey with you. Until next time, happy stitching.